Hello.
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 And welcome back to Rush Fans Roundtable. This is episode 259, where we will be discussing our favorite sequencing of songs in a live release set list. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to the best students in the world who made me this over the holidays. So, thank you to my kids. Hope it was a Merry Rushmas for everybody, as this will be airing after the holiday season has ended. But that being said, do a little bit of housekeeping. Do please like and subscribe if you like our content. Leave a comment. We'll talk about comments later in the episode. And check out our sponsors below. You could also find a link to tip us on Ko-fi if you so choose. But check out those sponsor links. Go visit them. Spend your holiday cash there. So, as always, I am your host, Paul Simon. I have with me the impeccable Rob Bukta and the also impeccable David Utzler. And we will be discussing, as we said, let's go with Aloha, our favorite sequencing of songs in a live release set list. Now, we're sticking with live releases because, I love these three songs in this order from this concert. We wanted to make it accessible to the viewers, so stuff that we all have access to, hence the live release part of that. We understand, as a disclaimer, that the live releases sometimes had parts recorded at different shows, or the VHS or DVD or Blu-ray didn't match the
Right.
released CD or vinyl. So bear with us. Don't jump down our throats if, for example, one of our choices, because I know mine is off of the audio release, but the video release was different. So disclaimer early on. And we also want to say hi to the members who couldn't make it due to other holiday type things going on. That's why you see three of us tonight. So we'll be giving them shout outs and reading their lists as well towards the closer of the episode. So without further ado, have I missed anything, gentlemen, or should we dive into this?
Let's dive. Let's do it.
All right. All right. So my fourth pick, I'm going to go 4-1, but we'll just see how everything works out going in our roundabout type way. Uh, as far as favorite, we're not saying best because all Rush being good Rush. We're not saying that my pick, Rob's pick, David's pick is any better or worse than someone else's preferred listen. I went with different stages with and disclaimer for me on this one, I was at World Music Theater in '97, so special place in my heart for that show. As far as song order, Closer to the Heart, 2112 in its entirety, and then the break, and they came back for that second set with Test for Echo. Absolutely killer. It was killer to be there, but even to be able to listen to it now, I put those three on. It's like, yeah, that really, really, really works because you've got a great version of Closer to the Heart. It's got that
Yeah.
extended ending, which again, I'm not normally a fan of, but I really love when they do it with that one. 2112 in its entirety sort of speaks for itself, I think. And then, like I said, after the break, and they come back with, I wish I could remember the Latin name for or the German name for the music, but
Oh, those spoke. That's not it.
Zarathustra.
Yeah, was that it? The
I'm
one?
pronouncing it horribly, but yes, that is what I meant. The 2001 music. And then going and launching and Test for Echo. Absolutely killer. So that's my number four choice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very nice.
Rob?
Yeah, I'm gonna go backwards from the most like recent show tour that I've seen and then work backwards. So R30. I had the initial idea of doing the R30 overture, just kind of like a collection of tunes in itself. Then I thought maybe I'll just go the other side and go, okay, I'm gonna pick Dreamline, Between the Wheels, and Mystic Rhythms. It just
Oh,
that
good.
combination is fantastic. And I think on that tour was the first I heard those songs played live. I think I could be wrong, but it was just a great show. It was the second night at Radio City Music Hall in August 19, 2004, I think. So that was great. So I kind of my chronological order is kind of messed up at the moment, but anyway, don't worry about it. But that collection of tunes was just so the way they played them inside Radio City it sounded amazing. First off, and I think most of my shows that I've seen with Rush were outdoor venues, but seeing that DVD of those collections of those three tunes was like it was great just to see that in a more sort of controlled setting. I just really enjoyed the combination. I think it just worked perfectly well. I had a nice flow to it. it was just, you can't really go wrong with that.
Sweet.
So
Definitely good
that's
choice.
my four, number four.
All right. David?
So I don't have an order, but I'm going to go with the Time Machine Tour, Moving Pictures. They did the whole record front to back. How can you get a better sequence than that album? Right? Tom Sawyer, Rib Barchetta, Why Would See, Limelight, Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, Vital Signs, all the way through. And, I saw the show here in Dallas, Texas. It was an outside venue. Um, and I kept being blown away because my first Rush concert was the Moving Pictures tour, and that just brought back so many memories. And it was just so awesome to see that was an awesome sequence. And so that's my pick.
Very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
good logic behind it too. I could get behind that. Mine will play into that for personal reasons when we get a little bit higher up. So my next one is going to be off R40. And yes, the sequence obviously was dictated by going chronologically back in time. But I really, really love how, and this is a 5-song set, but How It Is, which was an absolute surprise and beautiful,
I
beautiful.
love that.
Yeah. How It Is, into Animate, into Roll the Bones, my favorite version of Roll the Bones with those with the visuals and the people they chose for the rap and all that.
Yeah.
Between the Wheels, and then Losing It. That to me, that was such a. I was about to say gut punch, wrong phrasing, but just chicken skin immediately. I even get it just thinking about it now. And if you want to see like 50,000 people burst into, whether it's tears of joy, tears of sadness, what have you, that's the way to do it. So, especially when there were few spoilers out there that was going to happen. So,
Yeah.
that's really high up there for me. Good representation of the era. And as far as song choices, they could have done a heck of a lot worse. So, I really love all those songs in that order. So,
That's top choice. Yeah, my sort of chronological mixing matchy thing that I did, Snakes and Arrows was my next batch of tunes. Limelight, Digital Man, and Entre Nous was great. I think when I saw them at Jones Beach, it was July 14, 2008, and Entre Nous was swapped out for Ghost of a Chance. So for the live show, me going to the show and everything, but the actual packaging of the official release of the tour, it was great to see, the switch between, especially with Entre Nous, seeing that switch from electric to acoustic. I mean, and I never heard that song live at all. I mean, it was fantastic to see it in person. Also on that packaging, it was just a nice inclusion because I haven't really heard that song performed live. So it was just a fantastic bit and a nice little collection of '80s tunes too. You have Limelight, Digital Man, Entre Nous. So that little package was really, I think, just sequenced perfectly to my ears. It completely worked. And it showed all the different sides of Alex's playing too. So, the soloing on Limelight, Digital Man, just kind of doing more of the comping, and then Entre Nous, that switch with the instrumentation for Alex was, and they were so tight on that performance, is ridiculous. So
Perfect. So perfect. Yeah.
great
so
reason.
that's my third pick.
Very cool.
Mhm.
David?
My next is R30. Rob, when you said, don't do that. I'm doing that one. The overture. I mean, you get the history,
Yeah.
right, up through hemispheres, and then Spirit of Radio. So you have all of that. Awesome, absolutely incredible. But I love the way they did the jump to Force 10,
Yes.
right? So it was a great, you know, bit of fan of this band for 50 years, almost 49 years actually this year. And to hear the way they did that overture was so cool. And then the overture went into Spirit of Radio, and then the jump to Force 10 was, where they went. It was awesome. I loved it. I just loved it.
Excellent pick. Definitely. Should see some of those in the comments too. I can see that being pretty high up. When I was going through my list, I saw that one too, and I'm like, Others had like more personal resonance with me, but damn, that's killer. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My number two is Snakes and Arrows Live, and it is not what you chose, Rob. So cool. We did not talk a great deal about our choices with each other before air. So yeah, I went with coming off of Distant Early Warning, takes us into Spirit of Radio. And this is when just something about the visuals with this one really hit with me. So on the live release video, that's when during Spirit of Radio, the guy comes out, the chicken comes out to base the rotisserie chickens. Watch all three of the guys, and they're all in
Frenchie. That was
hysterics.
Frenchie.
That's Frenchie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And all three guys are in hysterics, and they look like they're having a blast. And then you've got Howard's lighting going on with all the hexagonal things are going. It looks incredible. The crowd's doing, they always do it, but the director chose to focus on the crowd doing the hand things, and it really, really worked for me live.
Yeah.
Then it goes into the South Park intro for Tom Sawyer. So that great going from Spirit to Tom Sawyer, you can't go wrong anyway, but something about the way they shot it for Snakes and Arrows really hit for me. I love
That
the
was a great
bass sound
tour.
they captured on Tom Sawyer. I don't know what is any different from other live releases, but the bass sound they got for Tom Sawyer on Snakes and Arrows really gives the song like an awesome bottom end. And then going from that into One Little Victory. And what
Yeah.
really hit for me on that is that sort of, and again, this is headcanon, for lack of a better way of putting it. I'm not saying this like I know exactly what they were thinking. I'm not. Headcanon for me sort of took it to, as a fan, was this song means so much to the band that it belongs after Spirit of Radio, Tom Sawyer, and One Little Victory. And they didn't even do the Vapor Trails Fireball. They did still have the dragon graphics going on for that, but it just seemed so perfect. It fit really well, and the energy was so intense that I just thought it really fit well together. So that's that pick for me.
Love that. Love the reasonings behind it too. It's, completely relate. So, my number two is Different Stages. Being that I saw that tour. That tour for me was the first time I've seen them live since Hold Your Fire. I didn't see any of the late 80s, early 90s tours at all. That's like a big sort of, faux pas, regret, whatever you want to call it on my end. But the fact that it was an evening with Rush too was like, that was like prime real estate. Like I gotta be there. So I went. So that was a fantastic show. So as you mentioned, Paul, seeing 2112 all the way through, different tuning, it was like, it sounds so modern, and it was just so potent, just that low end that you get from that low tuning. It sounded amazing at Jones Beach when I went. That into Test for Echo, and then the Analog Kid. It's like you got everything kind of, the nice compiling of historical stuff right there. You got the album that launched them. You got the album that they're coming back with, Test for Echo, and the Analog Kid. I never heard that one live either on tour. So it was fantastic. Besides Natural Science, I mean, that whole tour was ridiculous with the amount of music they played. Natural Science, I was jonesing for. Like, they got to play that song live, and they did. And I was like, oh. So, but of course, it falls out of sequence with my list. So I figured, okay, I'm going with these three. The way that was assembled and the way it sounded, it's just crazy. And of course, the live release. I mean, I can't stop listening to it. So those are my three from that tour.
Excellent
Good.
call. All right, David.
So I'm going to do a little bit of history here to set my choice up. My first Rush concerts was Moving Pictures Tour, 1981, Dayton Hare Arena. I want to say March 8th, 1981, and I wanted to do something from that tour since I was there, but it didn't quite work. So I had to go to Exit Stage Left in that tour. And my picks are Beneath, Between and Behind, Subdivisions, and The Camera Eye.
Oh, wow.
I mean, what's the relation? Nothing. Just you have Beneath, Between and Behind, which, what a great song. And it's kind of relevant now, but a great song. following that up with the beginning of a new era of Rush that began with Signals, with Subdivisions, and then going back to the camera eye and 10 minutes and 30 seconds, give or take, of absolute musical genius and goodness. I just love that sequence. I don't have a reason or explanation. I loved it. It was great. And I want to say when I saw them, let's see. Okay, no, it wasn't Subdivisions. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of trolls here. Subdivisions wouldn't have been on Exit Stage Left. Let me go back. I need to
Yeah.
see my. No, I've missed something. I need to go back and look at that. Subdivisions wouldn't have been there.
Yeah. 81.
Beneath the Behind and Camera Eye. Oh, Jesus, people, I got to go look at this. If anybody wants to help me, I missed something and I realized I missed something. But I need to see that set list.
Yeah, that tour. I mean, that album is Take a Stage Left. I'll touch on that later myself, but yeah, that's just incredible in terms of the way they performed. Even like speaking of Signals, watching some of the boots of that tour, of the Signals tour. I mean, how fast they play some of those songs, which could have been a thing of like the tape speed on the recording equipment might have been a little on the upside, transferring it from analog to digital. That's a whole discussion.
No, I looked at because on the album itself, of course, that was just a mix of stuff. It wasn't the entire set list of the actual show,
Right.
So it was not Subdivision. So I got to go back and see what that was.
I've got the track list, so I'm not sure where you want to start. If it was Beneath, Between, and Behind, into Jacob's Ladder, into Brunsbane, into the Trees.
Yeah.
So Camera Eye.
Yeah.
I think you're going from memory as opposed to live release.
Well, whatever it is. No, that's not it. Okay, I'll look it up later. I'll make a correction in the comments. But I know we began Beneath, Between, and Behind and went to the Camera Eye. And I love that. And whatever it was in the middle was not Subdivisions. And it's not the album. It was the tour.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So, that's, there we go. So how about that for a tag is simply, I could tell you right now, Warpaint from Presto was one of my favorite live songs in my life. They didn't put it on a live release, but as far as my concert going experience, that was a biggie for me. That was painful to not include this because they never released it pro. So, all right. My last one that I have is my big one. I had to get nostalgic on this one. I've said it before on my episode of Rush Roots, and I've mentioned it on roundtables before. My gateway into Rush was a Camelot music commercial for a show of hands that featured Marathon. So this is why the disclaimer at the start of the episode, going off the CD release, which is what I first heard and then bought before I even saw the video. The Three Stooges intro into hard opener, big money. You've got the music video imagery, the quick edits from that era, psyched up crowd, thunder ascending around Neil's kit, into Subdivisions. And that's the difference because the VHS release that I got my hands on shortly thereafter went from big money into Marathon, but on the audio release into Subdivisions. That was the first time I ever heard Subdivisions. So being 16 years old and hearing that, think back now, the first time you heard that song and went, that's me. I had that experience via a show of hands.
All of us did.
Right. So I was a little late to the party, which I've said before, and everything for a reason, but that was my first time hearing it, and the resonance was amazing. Then leading into what forever was one of, if not my favorite Rush song, which was Marathon. Still my favorite live performance of it being a show of hands. You've got the graphics, you've got the choir, you've got the energy, you've got the crowd. With the exception of all the red that was being used during that concert lighting-wise, on a VHS quality tape at the time. Let me be very specific. That
Mhm.
is close to my perfect concert because of the nostalgia factor for me. That was, like I said, my
Yeah.
gateway in. But man, what a killer! Just
Yeah.
big money into Subdivisions into Marathon. That was Rush for me for a very, very long time until I started hearing more and living life, etc. So that's my number one. So
So I just pulled up the set list from the internet, and if it's on the internet, it's true. They did play Subdivisions behind Subdivisions at the Camera Eye on the Exit Stage Left tour, according to
okay,
Setlist. So,
which would fit because that's back in the era when they were doing the pre-tour tour.
right,
So
That's
that
right.
does track.
Mhm.
So
right.
so not a
And
live
those-
release, but
Oh,
they did
my
it,
head
and you
just
remember.
exploded all of a sudden. I'm like, it couldn't have been Subdivisions. It wasn't released yet. But
Okay, so mystery solved. So hopefully anyone who would troll would actually have watched the episode far enough of, three little fantasists and non-entities talking our favorite Rush stuff. So, all right. I couldn't help
that
it.
was great.
Rob.
So going to nostalgia and piggybacking off of David is Exit Stage Left. So that was my very first live record that started the whole thing for me. Moving pictures, Exit Stage Left, and then going back in time. There weren't many releases at that point, for Rush. So to travel backwards to go to All the World's a Stage, and then moving forward up to the most recent record, Moving Pictures, the three songs from Exit Stage Left that I really think are a great sequence: Jacob's Ladder, Bruins Bane, Into the Trees. And if I want to throw a four in there, Xanadu.
Yeah.
That
wow.
that trio quintet, not quintet, that's five, quartet of songs is, I mean, I never heard those, especially Xanadu. I didn't hear Xanadu. Of course, Bruins Bane I wouldn't have heard on a record because it wasn't. It was Alex on the classical guitar, introing Into the Trees. So I didn't know any of those songs back then. I just knew it was on Moving Pictures. So to get introduced to those tunes, lengthier songs, very musically diverse, was a huge hook for me because I only knew what Moving Pictures provided for me, and then to get this record was like, what the hell is all this stuff, And that was it. The hooks were right in there, and I'm like, I'm going back. I'm gonna find out everything I can about this band. I'm gonna buy all the cassettes. I'm gonna go nuts. So that for me was both nostalgia and then like the huge jump springboard into the fandom of this band. So that was the biggest record for me, was that one, and the drum solo, which they didn't put on the freaking video of this album, which really pissed me off because it's such a great solo. It's just him talking over it, like no, no, I want to see him play. So,
Right.
and then the evolution of the drum solo was a whole other video. So, but those 3, 4 songs for me, that was top choice. So there's mine.
Nice.
Cool. And David, since I mentioned earlier that we were hoping Ryan and Jim could have made this episode. Unfortunately, prior commitments, etc., made it so they couldn't. They were nice enough to send you their top ones, their top choices.
Yeah, yeah. So starting with Ryan, Free Will from Time Machine, Free Will Marathon Subdivisions. That's a nice. I mean, if you're a fan, you're out there in the crowd, and of course you hear Free Will, you're going to just lose your shit. I mean, it's just so awesome, right? And then it moves on to Marathon, which is also a very up tempo. It's constantly moving, and then Subdivisions, dun, 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 it's just great sequence. Just keeps the fans totally engaged. And then Jim, I don't know why Jim can't be here. I mean, he's only in about 10 bands and has constant
Right.
rehearsals and stuff like that. I Jim, you're just being lazy. I'm just going to say that, you know. But he went Snakes and Arrows, the opener, Limelight, which what a great opener. And especially the way they did it. I love that. Alex played that opening, progression, and it just stopped. What's going on? Getty comes out, and then they break into the song. That was great. Digital Man, and then Entre Nous, which, Rob, I think you were talking about this earlier. to see Entre Nous live was so awesome. And I love the way Alex went back and forth between the acoustic parts and the electric. I love the gold top Les Paul as he did that. Uh, just such a engaging and fun progression of songs. And so, Jim, despite the fact that you're lazy because you're doing, you know, rehearsals and live shows because you're a drummer, that you couldn't be here for this, priorities, man, you picked some great songs.
Excellent list from both you guys. So, Jim
Yeah.
Benner, Ryan Murphy, we toast you.
And we roast you.
Yes. So, all right. So, that being said, do please leave a like. Make sure you are subscribed so you receive notifications. Leave us a comment on live releases, or if you want to throw in personal memories, throw those in too. But like I said, for consistency's sake, we try to stick with live releases overall. 3, 4, 5 songs that kind of blew you away. I would have said, the entire album Clockwork Angels minus BU2B and BU2B2 played on Clockwork Angels. I would have preferred BU2B been in there, but such is life. But yeah, so what do you think? What are 3 or 4 songs in a sequence on a live release that really, really knock your socks off? Let us know. In the meantime, do like, subscribe, check out our merch shop where you can pick up. And as was mentioned before, this is not a sticker. This was actually custom made through the merch store, so you can do that as well. Link below.
High-end stuff.
Only the best. So
Yeah.
that being said, welcome to 2025. Lots more to come. We're getting back to snakes and arrows, and some new surprises in store.
Hey,
So,
and do you want to be on an episode?
What's that?
Contact us. Do you want to be on an episode? Contact us.
Shoot us an email. All
Yeah.
right. That being said, catch y'all very soon.